When's the last time you saw a movie star on the cover of Wheaties box? Never. This is the level of greatness that we're thinking of. Imagine Marty Mauser.
Okay, is it just me, or did they not size the ever-living life out of Marty Supreme? For not only the pre-release promo run, but just about everywhere online. And to a degree, the hype didn't necessarily feel organic.
I didn't learn anything about table tennis.
All right, that's honest.
But rather a curated campaign from A24 to garner the needed social media fervor for any successful modern-day film release. I mean, in many ways, it did its thing, as the lineup of viral marketing campaigns back-to-back only a few weeks out from release can be described as nothing but
Let's do this.
unhinged.
Marty Supreme is an American film that comes out on Christmas Day.
Seemingly out of nowhere after being generally silent about the movie prior, Chalamet pulls up on the top of the Las Vegas Sphere, becoming the first person ever to stand on top of the 367-foot tall building, transforming it into a giant ping pong ball with the slogan "Dream Big" plastered at the center. A month earlier, a quote-unquote leaked Zoom clip titled "Video 938884728" mysteriously appears on his Instagram, showing him mock-pitching marketing ideas for Marty Supreme to A24, stating how he's about to do exactly that.
Amazing movie after amazing movie after amazing movie, where my career's at, and I wake up every morning, I think culmination, integration, like all of us, and fruitionizing, which is not a word, obviously. But
The unconventional promo run
I think as you get older, not just in life but in career, you're able to kind of block stuff out more. But yeah, self-doubt.
followed by a surprise world premiere at the New York Film Festival,
Why are you here?
All right, showtime.
to Tim judging an underground ping pong tournament, a remix of SD Kids 4 Raws,
Pull pint that dirty. Sweet 10 about 30. It seem like they shallow me chillin', tryna stack 100 million. Girl got a billion. What the fuck? What a wonderful feeling. Hit to the ceiling, hit to the since 2017. I'm living the dream, getting the cream. I'm living on theme, I'm doing the things. Marty Supreme is Marty Supreme is Marty Supreme.
and an orange ping pong merch line worn by the likes of Tom Brady, along with ever cryptic Instagram posts throughout this timeline. The campaign led to the biggest per theater average opening for A24, and one of the biggest opening weeks in 2025.
I have a purpose. Finish that sentence.
Its unique, chaotic energy both in the movie and the fully in-character press run
Josh Safdie, and where he's at, and that we're in service to Josh Safdie, because when I think heaven knows what, I think swat.
made sure Marty Supreme became the standout success and major talking point amongst the industry. But that just goes to show you the level of effort that independent studios and filmmakers must adhere to in order to even see the light of day. Regardless of the unique and artistically driven makeup of Marty Supreme, without its somewhat evasive pre-press run, most of us would have never even heard of the movie before it was too late.
He stars in the new movie Marty Supreme, which is in theaters in New York and LA this weekend and nationwide Christmas Day.
Recent market data suggests around 18 to 20% of the box office still going towards indie films, with that number only diminishing since its peak in the 1980s and 90s during the indie renaissance.
Do that.
Like this, I can. You wanna play again?
The vast majority of films produced, over 90%, are independent.
What are you doing?
But most don't even see wide theatrical release outside of local theaters and overlapping audiences. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, and Disney Plus initially seemed like a new market for indie films, planting that little bit of hope that was being not so subtly squeezed dry. But these brands have since become more selective, focusing on their own expensive original content.
Are you a pervert?
I'm not a pervert.
That's exactly what a pervert would say.
Try that.
Two perverts got room for one more?
The shift eliminated consistent revenue streams for many independent filmmakers and reduced theatrical opportunities, leading to a mirroring of hierarchy within the indie market to that of mainstream blockbusters, where only the biggest studios get a slice of the metaphorical pie, and only if you market yourself properly through constant social media appeal. So don't be too surprised if the Sphere inevitably gets included in the starter pack for independent press runs for films, starting right now.
Marty Supreme is an American film that comes out on Christmas Day, 2025.
Marty Supreme, the highly acclaimed, regardless of its strategic studio-led campaigns, sports drama set in 1950s New York City, following our protagonist, Marty Mauser, starring none other than Timothy, if you leave the accent, there's gonna be some issues, Chalamet. A pompous hustler on a mission to pursue his table tennis dreams by any means necessary.
Do you make money at this little table tennis thing?
Not yet.
The A24 film, directed by Josh Safdie, is loosely based on American ping pong champion Marty Supreme, a player so gifted in the sport that he boasts the nickname The Needle. I can't believe I'm actually saying this, and this just goes to show you the state of the literal universe in 2026. But table tennis is finally having a cultural moment. The kind figure skating had with Tonya in 2007.
Everyone has their own truth.
And bobsledding with Cool Runnings in 93. Marty Supreme tells the arc of a gifted but impoverished table tennis hustler in 50s New York City.
Backhand, forehand.
Who wants nothing more than to leave his parents' shoe shop behind to showcase his ping pong skills on a global stage. Throughout the movie, Chalamet provides a full throttle performance, as Marty Mauser is not only a motor mouth, sharp in both wits and tongue,
That doesn't even enter my consciousness.
but a selfish, manipulative, and not particularly kind as well.
It's only a matter of time before I'm staring at you from the cover of a Wheaties box.
Though these characteristics might only add to his ability to demolish anybody who comes in his way. Just, across a ping pong table.
Did you get that? Say your line.
And this isn't the first time Josh Safdie has worked alongside A24.
Marty Supreme in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R.
Having not only made Uncut Gems, the near blockbuster arguably re-catapulting Adam Sandler's career in a completely fresh circles, but Good Time, a hypnotic crime thriller exploring the tragic sway of family and fate with bracing immediacy, as described by the studios.
To lead a pure life. Look ahead in a clear sky. Ain't gonna get there.
A24, the indie studio behind critically acclaimed films like Moonlight, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and the aforementioned Uncut Gems, has built a cult-like following thanks to its consistent delivery of auteur films that don't feel like typical big-budget Hollywood pictures or common independent films alike.
I disagree. Gary.
They've built an enviable reputation where fans will literally buy tickets without even seeing a movie's trailer, as long as it's branded with the classic neon A24 logo, to save you trouble and so you can still go and check out the movie yourself. Long story short, Marty goes to London, plays the world's actual best, Kodo Endo, loses, comes home, so he tries at another shot at glory,
Confidence, if I believe in myself, the money will follow.
raises money, knocks up his former flame, yada yada. Oh, did I mention? Of whom is Mary? Marty. What have you gotten yourself into, buddy boy?
Now look at this, an orange ball, which no one's ever thought of. See, you're already following it way better. Look at his eyes. You're looking more engaged now.
Buddy, custom ball like that, it's gonna cost a lot of money.
Of course it's custom. It's an original ball for an original guy. It's a Marty Supreme, not the Marty normal ball.
While all of this is happening, he also seduces and exploits a sad, faded movie star played by Gwyneth Paltrow. And his best friend is Tyler, the Creator?
Hello, I'm Tyler, and this is the Welcome to the List. With A24.
Who knew a freaking ping pong player could go this hard at life? Let alone 70 years ago. As he begs, borrows, and steals his way back to the big leagues, figuratively and many times quite literally. After watching Marty Supreme, the audience is likely left with one question. How much of this story is actually true? To an extent, much. Loosely based on the real-life ping-pong hustler Marty Supreme, a fascinating, complex, and colorful man, to put nicely.
I'm 80 years of age. I've played table tennis for 65 years. I'm a tournament table tennis player, money player. I represented the United States in 6 world championships.
It's not to anyone's surprise that Softy gravitated towards this story, in some ways paralleling the lives and traits of his characters in Good Time
Incredible, do you understand?
and Uncut Gems. Reisman lived in a perpetual state of forward motion, constantly scheming and figuring out what the next score could be. It's almost as if the embodiment of Trevor from GTA 5 was imagined into a ping-pong playing boomer. Our 2026 lore just keeps getting deeper, huh? Quoting Marty himself, he was always one bad decision away from disaster. Reisman was nowhere near a clean hero. Being considered a felon to some degree, he did though elevate a disregarded sport even during the heyday of our undisputed national pastime, at least at the time. Marty survived on sheer nerve and proved that talent plus hunger can take you just about anywhere. Just not to Japan, because, you know, you'll get mopped. The film being based on his highly acclaimed 1974 memoir, The Money Player, highlighted his skills as a master talker. As in his own words, table tennis players have to survive by their own wits. Marty wrote, top players were either gamblers or smugglers. In a way, our protagonist was both. A24, the New York-based independent entertainment company widely recognized for revitalizing indie cinema single-handedly. Known for producing and distributing unique, artistically driven independent films, often with distinctive visual styles, bold themes, and art house sensibilities, in a short time have built a strong brand identity and cult following for its quirky horror, think Hereditary, acclaimed dramas like Moonlight, Lady Bird, Past Lives, as well as innovative hits, ergo Everything Everywhere All at Once. The studios has historically championed original, risky storytelling, giving filmmakers creative freedom, which results in visually striking, thought-provoking, and emotionally resonant movies across various genres. It seems like they can make just about anything. From psychological thrillers to surreal comedies, A24 has essentially done it all. And well, I might add.
You might feel a little sore, but everything's looking pretty good.
Even the logo and overall aesthetic of their projects gives off a particular vibe. A recognizable A24 look, if you will, usually comes with unique color palettes, striking cinematography, and a mix of retro vibes. They've essentially created recognizable cinematic ad-libs. But it hasn't just been their focus on original, risk-taking stories from non-mainstream directors or their avoidance of typical Hollywood formulas. The secret behind the studio's success actually lies with its heavy use of marketing, though in a highly unconventional, viral, and community-focused way. Prioritizes social media, word of mouth, and intriguing low-cost tactics over traditional, expensive advertising.
What do you think I've been doing?
The company has built a strong cult brand that turns fans into marketers themselves, leveraging digital engagement, cryptic teasers, and brand identity to create buzz and ever-rising relevance. So in many ways, the strat garnered by the team behind Marty Supreme has really been the driving force behind its production studio for years now. A24 fosters a sense of belonging and makes audiences feel special, rather than just, you know, pushing ads and brand placement.
Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
Free?
But recently, the brand has raised some eyebrows across the industry. With an updated valuation of $3.5 billion, many are more than just curious. How does a small, albeit successful production studio justify a multi-billion-dollar valuation? And more importantly, will they inevitably pivot from their standard indie films that built its fan base to how it is today, to mass appeal blockbusters among the likes of just about everyone else?
Are you okay? Are you okay?
You couldn't watch the road?
This unfortunate trend isn't new. Say what you want about the MCU, but a decade or so ago, at its peak, it was still creating genuinely unique and thought-provoking projects. But in order to live up to this unicorn status, stakeholders quickly decided to turn to capitalistic means and push typical blockbuster hits alongside a slew of mainstream marketing tactics. With this newly obtained re-up of resources, it makes total sense why fans have been getting antsy about the future of the studios. So why don't we take a deeper look at this $3.5 billion valuation for its less apparent context? According to Variety, in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, A24 racked up an annual revenue of about $200 to $300 million. Assuming they receive top of the industry margins, which are around 25% give or take, and revenue multiple of 0.8 being standard, that means they would have an EBITDA, or earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, of the projected $3.5 billion.
An IPO is an initial public offering. It's the first time a stock is offered for sale to the general population. Now, with the firm taking the company public, we set the initial sales price, then sold those shares right back to our friends. Look, I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: was all this legal? Absolutely not.
Now you could argue that A24 is having the movie run of the century, with box office beasts taking out mainstream competition left and right. From Dwayne Johnson's The Smashing Machine to Elizabeth Olsen's surreal afterlife romance, Eternity.
Spend it with.
Joan!
I was in bed and then I...
You look amazing. I have shocking news. You're dead. Yeah, how'd you know? It took him forever to figure that out.
All racking in tens of millions of dollars in revenue during their first weeks alone. Therefore, A24's EBITDA multiple would be higher than the industry standard 6.1.
And I'm your afterlife coordinator. That's not a job.
Fair. But for $75 million in revenue, this would need a 47x multiple instead of, let's say, an already generous 12x, which, by the way, is around $900 million if you're wondering. Even if this recent valuation is severely bloated, it's not difficult to see that A24 is taking inspiration from Disney's business model, which isn't great.
You know Disney when you see it, hear it, even taste it.
A24's founder created the brand to offer films with a distinct point of view. And as the studios continues to soar to Icarian heights, they have begun a more profitable course of action. Turn A24 into a platform with multiple businesses under one umbrella. So maybe in a few years, we'll start seeing A24 parks, games, merchandise, and of course, bigger and better standout auteur storytelling.
I mean, how do they really make all that money?
But let's get one thing clear. I'm not about to pay another $15 a month for A24 plan. Why am I even giving them ideas?
What am I saying? EBITDA is bad. Terrible.
Are you saying the premium needs to be adjusted?
I didn't say that. Did you hear me say it? No.
The first rule of hustling, says Reisman in a 1977 Sports Illustrated interview, is to let your opponent suggest the match. And when he does, you mustn't seem too eager. You must make the opponent think he is hustling you, says Master Reisman. That's why he even developed a special hustler's grip. Pause. Holding the racket the way a thirsty truck driver holds a beer bottle, he says. That way, every winner you hit looks so completely accidental that the guy is willing to bet anything that you can't do it again. In some ways, the indie film market is being hustled into believing the relevance still exists the same way it had in the 80s or 90s. Referred to as the Indie Renaissance, this period is widely seen as a golden age for independent films, marking its transition from niche art house projects to commercial powerhouses, with the growth of the Sundance Film Festival, which coincidentally is happening right now. And the rise of specialty distributors like Miramax and New Line Cinema created a viable path for indie films to reach wider audiences and achieve novel commercial success. On top of that, the introduction of affordable cameras and non-linear editing systems lowered production costs, making filmmaking even more accessible, allowing for classics like Pulp Fiction in '94.
Oh, I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do that. Please, continue. You were saying something about best intention?
And Sex, Lies, and Videotape in '89 to be actualized during that time.
Answer me, goddammit. Goddammit, answer me, did you?
Yes, I did.
Almost mimicking today's trends, audiences in the late 80s sought out unique, authentic stories that differed from the mainstream Hollywood blockbusters. What else paralleled? Well, of course, Disney's ever-rampant hunger for all things media. With their acquisition of Miramax in '93, this only made sure high-quality, character-driven dramas
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what? What? English, mother...
regularly began receiving theatrical releases and awards recognition.
I used to. It's been a while.
By the 2010s, the rise of new media started hollowing out the traditional indie theatrical model. Services like Netflix and Amazon replaced the video store pipeline, becoming the primary buyers at festivals like Sundance. The switch over to digital cameras and even more affordable editing software made it cheaper to make films once again, though exponentially harder to get them noticed. In a completely saturated market, studios began using indie festivals as a proving grounds for directors to lead massive franchise tentpoles. Recent data shows a significant downturn for the traditional indie business model, with shrinking market shares across the board. Global indie market shares dropping from 21.7 to 18.5 by 2025. 3.2% doesn't sound like a whole lot, but on the world scale, that's billions of dollars of lost revenue.
Say what again?
Theatrical windows for indie films have shrunk from 80 days to now around 32 days, moving them to digital platforms almost immediately. Netflix and others have moved away from experimental or micro-budget projects like they once had as well, in favor of ad-supported large-scale content. The independent share of the overall film market has drastically decreased, and making a profit has become significantly harder for many projects without major backing. Though, as we saw with Marty Supreme, while overall visibility has decreased, new platforms allow filmmakers to find highly specific niche audiences and also broadcast their stories to wider ranges. 2025 saw a theatrical resurgence for high-profile indies like Nosferatu, which made $181 million, and Anora, which made $57 million, suggesting that elevated indies with recognizable talent still thrive. But let's cut the BS. When are we getting this starter pack for It 3? I know it's not an indie, but come on. Seeing Pennywise on the spear would be majestic, to say the least.
Do you miss me?
And this just fuck happening right now. So yeah, go check it out. Yeah. Feelings overthrowing your pain. You'll see new heights you'll be reaching, and is it too late that you will fall? We don't do sparklers. We give specific instructions to bring out the bottles in stealth mode. Like, I'm hearing there's rats in the building. They saying it's not at the part with the health code. I feel like that's none of my business though. Bitches be steadily giving opinions on shit that don't even concern them. I got a lot to get off my sternum.